Good morning, Vietnam. Just kidding. There's a lot of stuff in the newspaper today. So for Dallas, Mike Miles had resigned. He was the superintendent. He was this guy from Colorado, and they brought him over, and he's supposed to be all this big change. I liked him. I liked the things he said, but the school board was never behind him. They were always fighting. He had to have one of the people arrested. Anyways, he just got tired of it. He said, I'm gone. And the guy who's replacing him, Michael Hinojosa, was the superintendent that bailed on Dallas ISD, and now he's back, so that he was the first person they called. But whatever. So Miles is out, Hinojosa's in. The Greeks are making it even worse. So they've had that no vote, and now they were supposed to come up with a plan and say, okay, we don't want those austerity measures. This will give us more credit at the bargaining table. Well, now the European Union says, so what's your bargain? And they go, we don't have one. So the European Union leaders said, you have till Sunday before Greece goes into full bankruptcy, full liquidation, in insolvency. The banks it'll be a total collapse. So I don't know what's happening currently today in the news, but that's what the newspaper said. And so that's still a horrible situation over there. The U.S. government and the British government were telling the major technological companies like Google, Apple, etc., that they wanted special access to data when they needed it, but these companies have fired back and said data is so highly encrypted now, if we grant you special access, the data will be compromised, and so we can't do this. So we'll see how that goes back and forth. Baylor has removed sodomy from its list of sexual conduct rules, so that's out now. They haven't out announced. Well, they're a Baptist university, and so they're still holding to the 1967 Baptist, man and woman, married couple code of conduct. Are there gay students at Baylor? I'm sure there are. Are there gay married couples at Baylor? God forbid, I hope not. But I'm sure they'll collapse like a deck of cards, like a house of cards, and just, oh yeah, gay couples, yeah, we want to be caring and open, and so they'll probably let that happen. Pilot lands a plane in a Houston neighborhood. The picture was pretty cool. It literally was just like a normal cul-de-sac area, and there's this Cessna landing right in there. Speaking of which, an F-16 in South Carolina collided with a Cessna in the air. The F-16 pilot safely ejected, but the two people on board the Cessna unfortunately died. At University of Texas, they have a statue of Jefferson Davis, who was the Confederate president. People want it removed now. Here's what one guy's quote was. He said, Davis was a slave owner, a traitor, and a failure as president of Confederate States. There's nothing honorable about any of this. He should have been hanged for treason, not given a place of honor. He's got a big statue at University of Texas, and now people want it gone amidst all this. Take down the Confederate flag and all that. Yeah, I mean, as for me, I don't care if he stays or goes. I think knowing the history about it is more important than having the statue of it. But if you want to remove it, remove it. 36 people in El Paso at a middle school have tested positive for tuberculosis. They don't know why yet that it's happened, but they're checking for more cases and to see if anyone is contagious currently. The 10 Commandments can stay at the Oklahoma state, the capital. Right now there's a big 10 Commandments plaque there, and the Oklahoma Supreme Court has said that it needs to go, and the governor of Oklahoma has said that they're gonna, while it's on appeal, they're not gonna remove it. Hooray for them. I remember when that whole thing started. A New Orleans officer was arrested for obstruction. This kid was arrested. This is tied to this case, but this kid was arrested about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, handcuffed and put in the back of a cop car. he managed to get the cuffs in front of him, pulled a gun out that he had hidden, and killed the cop that was driving him to the prison. Anyways, yesterday they arrested a cop who was kind of involved in this whole issue with this kid, the reason the kid was being arrested in the first place, and he was found to have committed obstruction by putting bullet casings in places and throwing away evidence, and who knows what's going on. That police department, ever since Katrina, has just struggled. An ice cave collapsed and killed a lady, I think in the Midwest somewhere. I think it was Wisconsin, I want to say, or Michigan. She was in an ice cave. There's a little area, and she went off the trail, and the ice cave collapsed and killed her. An orange-brown lobster was found in Maine. It literally split down the middle. One side perfectly brown, the other side perfectly orange. Say it's a 1 in 50 million chance. The only more rare lobster is a albino lobster, which is 1 in 100 million chance. So if you find one, you can probably sell it for a lot of money. Jarrod, the guy from Subway commercials, Jarrod, the fat guy who lost a lot of weight, FBI raided his house yesterday. Apparently, he has a foundation called the Jarrod Foundation, and the president of that foundation was brought up on child pornography charges about 3 weeks ago. Well, they raided Jarrod's house yesterday. No charges have been filed against Jarrod. They don't know, they're not saying anything about it. Jarrod's attorney is saying that there's nothing to do with his client. No charges can be brought in. But, people always say that. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right to die bill fails in California. The parents of that one gal who killed herself in Oregon, or wherever that was, I think it was Oregon. Her parents wanted a right to die bill to pass in California, and it failed. So only God will be able to kill you still. Oh, heroin deaths skyrocket because the cost of heroin is so cheap, and people who have become addicted to the pain-killing medicine like OxyContin and these other opiate-based medicines. They're so strict now on who can get those and the quantities and all that stuff, that it's cheaper and easier for these people to just go 1 block away from their house or a couple blocks away and go buy heroin. And it's cheaper and it's easier and probably, in their opinion, better. And so heroin overdoses have skyrocketed. Afghan government is holding talks with the Taliban and trying to come to some... That, as soon as we're all out of Afghanistan, what a huge waste of time that will have been. We should have put no boots on the ground and just literally re-landscaped that whole place. You know what I mean? I'm glad we did what we did there. Not to say anything about the people who sacrificed their lives there, but we'll leave, and then the Afghanistan government will probably cave, and the Taliban will probably hold half of the country, and while the others, hang on for the other half. Some people were gored at the running of the bulls yesterday, the first day of the running of the bulls. There were 2 Americans and 1 Briton. There's nobody from Spain getting gored. They're like, oh, we love it when these people come over here. Hey, release that other bull. Not the ones we use. Release the other ones. They release these really pissed off bulls for all the tourists. The tourists are like, man, this is really hard to do this. Yeah, they aren't giving you their bull. They're giving you the pissed off bull. Russia issued a list for safe selfies. Apparently in Russia, a lot of people are dying doing these selfies. In Russia, selfie kill you. They're taking pictures by tigers, trying to do a selfie, and the tiger's killing them. Standing on top of these buildings. If you go to YouTube and type in Russian selfies at high altitudes, or some combo like that, and you'll see these guys are standing on top of bridges with 1 foot up, and they're trying to do the most dangerous, hanging from the side of a building with 1 hand while selfieing. Man, go check those. It's crazy, but these dudes are dying, and so Russia's trying to put a little thing together to say these are the rules for taking selfies in Russia. Iran nuke deal's been extended to reach a pact. They've all agreed that the clock wasn't as important, but a deal was more important. So Iran has more time to be a snake. Carnival Cruise Line is going to Cuba. No word on exactly when, but they want to be the first ones to take the tour to Cuba. Apparently it'll cost about $2,900. They're hoping to get it going next May, and then check this out. In France, at a military base in France, post 9/11, right? France. Thieves broke in and stole 40 grenades, 10 blocks of C4, and 180 detonators at a military base in France that was heavily guarded. Man, French, can you do anything right? Anything. And don't say painting and food. You know the joke about the French military rifle for sale? Never fired, dropped twice. That's about right. Dallas cops shot a sex offender to death yesterday. He was on probation and hadn't registered, or they got a tip to where he'd be at. They approached, he drew a gun, they killed him. One less sex offender on the streets. That's great. Facebook is building a data center in Fort Worth for $1 billion. $1 billion. It's not going to have very many employees, but it's supposed to bring $100 million to the local economy. But huge data center. They showed an aerial picture of where it's going to be and what it's going to look like. It's going to cost $1 billion, and it's going to have data. And that's it for today.